Hello and welcome to WNC Original Music, episode 95. You know the N95 mask is called the N95 mask because it only filters 95% of airborne particles. So if you have been around 100 people this week, 5 of them gave you COVID. That's just math. Very happy to have on the show this week Taylor Maxson. Taylor and I go way back. We actually used to be in a band together. He is an incredibly gifted songwriter and singer and musician. Taylor has lived all over the country, and you can hear that. You can hear the influence of the different areas in a lot of his songs, but you can also hear that he is rooted in Western North Carolina. You can find him at taylormaxson.bandcamp.com, and you can search for him on Facebook and Instagram as well, and we'll have links to that in the show notes. And now here is Taylor Maxson.
Told herself I'm free at last. Strip the dead hands of sirens grow out in the west. Thought that she might never have to pay the undiscovered debt. Thought that she was going to remain undiscovered.
Undiscovered was my attempt to write a cinematic song. So, the show don't tell principle in writing, I wanted to drop the listener reader into the scene like you're watching a movie, basically. And I think that the rhythm of it is supposed to be like, it's like you're traveling in a car out west and there's just stuff flying by the window. And each stanza is like another thing that kind of flies by. It's sort of repetitive and a little drony. The song, it doesn't have a lot of changes. And a lot of my songs, you may notice, do have a lot of changes and weird, which I forget all the time. But this was an attempt to kind of drone Americana cinematic, something that might show up in like a Western TV show, these days, like on Westworld. Can you get me on Westworld?
Yeah, I think so. Let me make a note.
Thanks, Rod. I know you're connected.
Let me get on Westworld.
Yeah.
Okay. Westworld for Taylor. Got it.
I also liked the idea of...
Now, you want your music on, or you want to... Because I could get you like a walk-on part.
You can get me on for an acting part. A little cameo.
Can you act like a robot?
Are you saying I'm robotic?
No. They're robots. They're very lifelike. You can barely tell.
I like the... And also there's a female protagonist in the song. It's sort of rooting for a woman. Like the idea would be like there's a maybe not migrant, but like a woman, New Mexican, or maybe like Puebloan, who knows? But like a non-white, non-Anglo woman, basically, is the protagonist of the song.
And this is one of your older songs?
No, actually, it's a newer one.
That's a newer. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's about a year old.
Yeah, that's interesting. That like you said, you do have a lot of chord changes. I mean, if you're in a band with you, it's kind of annoying. But yeah, so it's interesting to have that kind of like, let me go back to, it's not like this is the first song you ever wrote and so you only knew 3 chords.
Right.
It's like you're intentionally saying, and that's where those kind of songs sound the best. It's like it's not your limitation, it's your intention to write a song like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Now you say that in your own words.
I do. I do notice like a lot of the songs that I played today are actually reworkings of early songs or relatively recent songs that I wrote in out tunings, and they were so complicated I couldn't remember them.
Yeah,
and it gets ridiculous when I have to have I need 7 guitars to keep the right tunings. Then I have to remember what they are. So I finally just started writing in standard and figuring out how to translate the songs I used to write into standard. So there's probably 4 or 5 that were in weird tunings that I figured out anyway. So yeah, but Undiscovered was definitely an attempt to keep it really simple.
The ember hot and glowing, wild eyes staring into the heart of why we've been burning since Prometheus gave us a spark. We cradled it tight on the journey, wandered off into the unknown. We're restless and bold, without end we would search for home and rise at the same time and go to the last light leaves the day. We settled down deep in the valley, the river in the desert went dry. Went to war with our rivals, we were gone in the blink of an eye. Maybe we'll live on in the story, maybe all is vanquished with time. Maybe we'll rise from the flames with a fire in our eyes. the dark sky and go to the last light leaves the day. And there's so much that we lost, and there's so much here to do. And in the time I got, I'm coming home to you. And there's so much that we want, and there's so much that means true. And in the time I got, I'm coming home to you. Yeah, there's so much that we lost, and there's so much here to do. And in the time I got, I'm coming home to you. In this last slide, I'm coming home to you.
Yeah, so that's a song that was a rewrite of an original song. I don't remember the name of it, but it was like it's a song. Actually, originally I wrote this song. The mood came from the Exxon Deep Horizon spill. I think about 10 years ago, and there was like that, unprecedented underwater.
Was that only 10 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2010. I know it's.
I'm thinking of another Exxon.
Oh yeah,
Achille Lauro.
Oh right.
Was that the one in Alaska?
There's a spill every 5 to 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a spill right now.
Yeah.
They're probably spilling coronavirus into the ocean at the moment. So the song's mood came from this sort of maudlin, depressed response to the fact that I participate in the industrial system and can't really avoid it, and so it was a preachy song, and I hate, too preachy, too direct. So over time, I tossed out those lyrics and I rewrote it as a kind of a love song, and I can't even really explain. A lot of times the songs that I write, and I know a lot of songwriters talk about this, tend to be just a meditation on I don't know if a lot of songwriters talk about this. They tend to be a meditation on an image. So I was picturing like the carrying of the fire, like Neanderthal people, and a tree is struck, and there's an ember, and that the carrying of the ember as a
keeper of the flame type thing.
Keeper of the flame, carrying the torch kind of idea, and I guess the idea was to then I crossed it with keeping love alive. Basically, it's a love song, and it just came out in kind of one sitting as a rewrite.
More from Taylor in just a few moments. Want to remind you to check the show notes for where to find him. Mainly, you can find him at taylormaxson.bandcamp.com, and Maxson is spelled Maxson. I know that me spelling people's names is the best part of the show for a lot of people, and I don't blame you. I am getting really good at it. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You just search WNC Original Music. Also, you can find the podcast on Pandora. You can find it on most smart speakers, and you can find it just by searching or typing WNCOriginalmusic.com in your favorite web browser. If you don't already, follow the podcast on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/WNC Original Music, and also search for our group, which is Western NC Original Music, and you can see all kinds of music from Western North Carolina. You don't have to wait for the podcast. There are people posting there every day, just really good stuff. I think you will be quite impressed with how much great music comes from that small area of one state.
Hi, this is Stephen Evans. You're listening to WNC Original Music.
tears are a tease. You reach out for nothing but air. And one day when you're unaware, the leaf winds its way to your hands. Maybe you'll smile and run home. Maybe you don't tell a soul. Maybe the leaf is still crumbling in an old children's book somewhere. The scent of October, adrenaline high, brings to my mind the way that the gas lantern light shadows play in December streets on your eyes. Dance with me closely when I see you next, devoutly with every step. On your cheek, and a wool scarf would look great. Know that dress is just right, but it's cool and it's breezy outside. So let me hold up your coat, the way that we did as kids. Up and reach for the sky. It's so simple what I need in this life. The snows that descend deep in the night make me feel high. The way that the gas lantern light shadows play December streets on your eyes. Dance with me closely when I see you next, devoutly with every step. The way that the gas light shadows play, the wood smoking streets on your eyes, and dance with me closely when I see you next, devoutly with every step.
That was one of those almost one-sitting songs, again, originally written in some strange out-tuning that I had to translate ultimately into a standard tuning. And that was written around the time I met my wife, who I've now been married to for 15 years. But I wrote that about 17 or 18 years ago, just like within a couple of months of having met her. And it was just a meditation on early love. It's, again, more scenic than it is talking about me. It's, I tend to be interested in, I know early on I hated, or that's strong, but I really was aware of, I was very aware of like saying I this, I that in songs.
Yeah.
I didn't like the first person.
Yes. I have a thing about that where I've noticed so many songs that are, the first word is I.
Yes.
First word is always I, and a lot of the lines, a lot of the verses start, a lot of the lines start with that, and I try not to do that. Like
right.
Yeah. It's annoying. I mean, it's a natural thing when people are talking, especially if it's a personal song, you're going to talk about yourself, but it's just, once you hear it and get that in your head, it's hard to not feel weird about it.
Yes,
yeah.
I agree. And I think it can get, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I have no rule. There's no rules, it's just you don't want to do it too much.
Yeah.
And you want to mix in second person and you want to mix in third person and just different perspectives. And I think I early on equated it with sort of schmaltzy songwriting to say too much about myself. It was like, no, the artist is supposed to, the artist is supposed to talk about the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I was in that mode in that song of like, I'm going to avoid me, but still it's sort of obviously my impressions. I mean, it's still very much a me song. So yeah, that's one of my favorites. I really like that song actually. And it's partly because it does capture a time and a place and a feeling.
I think this is the first song I ever heard you play.
Yes.
At a songwriter thing.
Yes.
And it's definitely very different. What is the, because you've rewritten it, what are the pros and cons of rewriting songs like 15 years later?
Yeah. One of the pros is my range has changed. I'm the stately age of 47. And I wrote that when I was like 25. And so roughly, maybe 26. And I just had a higher range or either that or I was just a worse judge of whether I should be singing in that register.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I sang it in a really high register. And again, that was a product of like probably some weird out tuning where I was playing around and like that was the key and it was way higher. So I had to shift it down. I shifted it to E from, I don't know what. I might have been in G maybe, two or three steps up. So I shifted it down. And so that I can, I like to sing more in the low range of my voice, though I do I think I also kind of get up in the tenor some. I feel more comfortable in a lower register. So some of the pros is I'm more comfortable singing it now. Con is it might have been a more emotive song in that register when and if I was able to sing that properly. Other than that, I mean, I guess I enjoy working and reworking things. Like I don't ever really see a song as finished.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which maybe isn't always to my benefit because I think it's having a complete thing. I guess if you're going to if you're packaging it and you're streaming it and you're giving it to other people, like that people can then take that and they kind of own it. Yeah. And if you're shifting the work all the time, it's probably pretty odd. Yeah. Not that I have like some giant fan base, but if I did, I would be one of those weird songwriters.
There's also a benefit to that for the listener to have two versions of the same song that they love.
That's true.
Of course, I can't think of anything right now, but I know there are songs by bands that there are two versions that I like totally love each version. One that is not, but a lot of people say this is I Shot the Sheriff. Yeah. Because there's a traditional version and then there's like a super reggae. I think he wrote it kind of as a reggae song. And a lot of people say that's a good, I don't like either song.
What's the Dylan song off Planet Waves? Right at the first, it's one of his classic songs. He has a fast and a slow version. Like he was in the studio here.
I don't know all his album.
Yeah, it's like one of his. It's like it wasn't "I Shall Be Released," but it's a song, one of his anthemic songs. He has a really fast. It's with the band. He has a really fast version and a slow version. I love them both. Yeah. He hated the slow version. He felt like it was too schmaltzy. He felt like it was too lovey-dovey, and but so many other people said, "No, this is great." That he's like, "All right, I'll keep it." And then he did the one he liked, which was a fast one. It's just interesting.
I guess Revolution by the Beatles would be maybe the most
for sure
well-known version type of that, where they just almost simultaneously put out both versions. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Will Oldham, Bonnie Prince Billy, who's like the songs have been sung by Johnny Cash, but a lot of people don't know about him. But he's one of those writers who you never step in the same river twice. Every single time he does something, it's different. Yeah. You got the recorded version that when he plays it live, he's always doing, and it's really beautiful. It's it tends just to be really improvisational. I don't know that I don't think I'm great at that. Mine tends to come out. I get an idea I'm going to do something at home, and I just sort of spend time doing it. But I appreciate that. I like the idea that, I mean, a record's complete. You can't change it, but I like the idea of art being in flux. Yeah. Things are never solidified into a final identity.
haven't seen yourself since you let your body melt. In puddles of cold rain you walk down the streets you gave up. Like a kid you dashed for springtime. Through window it passed right on by. Summer held promise but withered in ozone and dust. Granite softened with felt. When suddenly I was collecting the novels that sell. Come autumn, the titles turn strange. No one remembered their names. Winter fell wasted in pining for sweet chlorophyll. Then you went to the scene with curious eyes that I could believe. I never bought into kings and queens, but I've known the beauty of royalty. So put up your yoke and let down your hair tonight. I'll shoulder your burden and weather the wind blowing by. And all is unfolding as it is supposed to be. Distance is closing, the sooner the better indeed. Distance is closing, the sooner the better indeed.
What is that song about? That's another one that's from a really early period. That I translated from weird tunings into a standard tuning. I think so. I was like 25 or something when I wrote that, and I think I was talking to myself. You notice it's second person right off the bat. It's like, you haven't seen yourself since you let your body melt in puddles of cold rain. You walked down the streets you gave up. So I was talking to myself in a period in that 20s, like being in my 40s, like things are pretty stable. All in all, that's a song that was like talking to myself at a time when my life was really unstable, still didn't really have like a great love in my life. I wasn't really rooted into place yet, which you just mentioned. I think a lot of my songs the word is peripatetic. They range. They're ranging in place and in theme and feel and but so that Distance is Closing was, I think it was a calling out for like a soulmate kind of song, and sort of in speaking to myself that I want to close the distance. I think that's the idea of that song.
Okay, I want to thank Taylor for being on the show. Should have a couple more episodes with Taylor from these recordings. Don't forget to find him on taylormaxson.bandcamp.com. That's Maxson. Also, check the show notes to follow him on Facebook and Instagram. Remember to subscribe to the podcast, WNC Original Music, wherever you get your podcasts, or visit WNCOriginalmusic.com. Questions, comments, and submissions, just email WNCOriginalmusic@gmail.com. This week's closing song is from a singer-songwriter known as Witchcatcher. I chose this song especially because Taylor and I both are big fans of Wilco, and this song has a really big Wilco vibe. We'll put links to Witchcatcher's music in the show notes, and make sure to go and listen to more of this really catchy, up-tempo Americana music. Here's Witchcatcher. Have a good week.
There's a screen emergency. There's a dead end terrace. There's so many futures because time is small. Dinner till my belly aches and sleep supposing explosion and the glass like it was a fake ending. We were pretending it was done, and they clapped like it was a fake ending, like we were pretending it was done. Taking a turn, when the orchestra struggles, the conductor can blame the causeway production in Pontchartrain. Dream in golden, calm, commotion, and the clap like it was a fake ending, like we were pretending it was done, and the clap like it was a fake ending, like we were pretending we were done. We were done. We
I thought we agreed we'd only make me look good.